In Adelaide recently, a big storm resulted in lots of water flowing out into the sea. Today, we're going to talk about that water, called storm water. People aren't happy about the idea of all that water going to waste. Today, we'll hear some new ideas about reusing and storing water, and we'll look at some of the problems with these plans too.
Water, water everywhere, and in Adelaide this week most of it went straight into the drink.
About 10,000 Olympic swimming pool fulls of water would have flowed out to the sea during that period of time. For a city which is within a semi-arid area, for that amount of water to be wasted is criminal, is negligent.
It's traditionally managed by a process of trying to get rid of it to somewhere else as fast as possible. In other words, it's seen as a hazard.
For Richard Clark, the last few days have been another wasted opportunity. The former E&WS employee is now head of the Stormwater Industry Association and is a passionate advocate for Adelaide harvesting its stormwater.
No, we're not moving fast enough on this. We've got climate change coming up on us. We've got to make decisions on infrastructure in the next 5 or 10 years. We need to do a lot of investigating and a lot of calculating.
Experts say Adelaide's yearly stormwater runoff more than matches its annual water consumption. Instead of putting the stormwater out to sea, it's argued it should be pumped into aquifers to be used during summer, a technique known as aquifer storage and recovery, or ASR. The CSIRO's John Radcliffe says the first step, though, is building wetlands to clean up the polluted stormwater before it goes into the aquifer.
It's one thing to have a policy and some ideas about reusing stormwater. It's another thing to make sure those schemes work, they're in the best interest of the community, they don't create environmental harm and they don't risk public health.
We have environmental problems already. We are exporting pollution out to the sea from stormwater and wastewater. It seems hypocritical to raise environmental problems as a reason to not do something better.
I think sometimes we might be looking for excuses as to why we can't do it. My sense is that it is possible to actually use wetland technology to clean up water in all sorts of configurations.
Richard Clark believes the state government has provided a planning base with its waterproofing Adelaide strategy, which he says aims to reuse around 12% of the city's stormwater. But what's needed now are the incentives to put plans into practice.
Water is going to be the main sort of problem for the next 50 years throughout the world. We have an opportunity here to be right there at the forefront, helping the world solve its problems in water.
Stormwater is rain that doesn't soak into the ground, but instead runs onto land or into waterways. After a big storm, there's a lot of stormwater. What happens to Adelaide's stormwater at the moment?
About 10,000 Olympic swimming pool fulls of water would have flowed out to the sea during that period of time. For a city which is within a semi-arid area, for that amount of water to be wasted is criminal, is negligent.
About 10,000 Olympic swimming pools of water flowed out to the sea during the storm. At the moment, stormwater flows out to sea. To flow means to move in one direction, in a stream. He says that for a city in a semi-arid area, for that amount of water to be wasted is criminal. Arid means very dry and without rain. A desert is arid. A semi-arid area is partly dry. The prefix semi means half or partly. Adelaide is a semi-arid area. It's almost as dry as a desert. So it's bad to waste so much water, especially in such a dry climate. Let's hear more about this problem.
Experts say Adelaide's yearly stormwater runoff more than matches its annual water consumption.
Experts say that Adelaide's yearly stormwater runoff more than matches its annual water consumption. Stormwater runoff is rain that doesn't soak into the ground but runs off the land into waterways. Adelaide's yearly stormwater runoff matches its annual water consumption. Consumption means use, so water consumption refers to the amount of water people use. So every year, the amount of stormwater that runs back into the sea more than matches the amount of water that people use. Matches means equals. The phrase more than matches tells us that the amount of stormwater equals or is more than the amount people use. So what should we do about it?
Instead of putting the stormwater out to sea, it's argued it should be pumped into aquifers to be used during summer.
Instead of putting the water out to sea, it should be pumped into aquifers. An aquifer is an underground store of water, water stored in a layer of underground rock. It seems like a simple idea to store extra water underground, but not everyone agrees.
It's one thing to have a policy and some ideas about reusing stormwater. It's another thing to make sure those schemes work, they're in the best interests of the community, they don't create environmental harm and they don't risk public health.
He says you can have ideas, but you have to make sure they work. He says they have to be in the best interests of the community, not create environmental harm and not risk public health. So we'll have to wait and see which plan turns out to be the best one. And that's all for English Bites today. If you'd like to take a closer look at any of the words in today's story, you can watch it again on the English Bites website.